Psalms 22. It reminds me of the crucifixion of Christ. And so, just like I said, David starts prophesying about the second coming, and God is revealing himself and his plan to David as he's growing closer to God. Well, in Psalms 22, it almost looks like the entire chapter, the whole psalm is almost like of David is prophesying the crucifixion of Christ. So King David is the first king of Israel, and he's prophesying about Jesus and the second coming. And now this is a prophecy about the crucifixion of Jesus. Psalms 22. My God, why have you forsaken me? Doesn't that sound familiar? Jesus says that on the cross. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me? From the words of my groaning. Jesus, when he was on the cross, he said this, and he said 7 famous sayings on the cross. Oh my God, I cry by day, but you do not answer, and by night, but I find no rest. Yet you are holy, enthroned on the praises of Israel, and you our fathers trusted. They trusted, and you delivered them. To you they cried out, and were rescued. In you they trusted, and were not put to shame. And this is reflective back when Israel were the Hebrews and they were in the desert and they were just wandering around, and God time after time just kept on protecting them and saving them. Verse 6. But I am a worm and not a man, scorned by mankind and despised by the people. All who see me mock me, and they make mouths at me. They wag their heads. He trusts in the Lord. Let him deliver him. Let him rescue him, for he delights in him. This, verse 8, it reminds me whenever Jesus was on the cross, and they were mocking him, saying, he saved other people, why can't he save himself? Let him save himself, come on. They were mocking him. And this really reminds me of Jesus being mocked. The first part reminds me of Jesus crying out, my God, why have you forsaken me? And verse 8 reminds me of Jesus being mocked while he's on the cross. Verse 9, yet you are he who took me from the womb and made me trust you at my mother's breast. On you was I cast from my birth, and from my mother's womb you have been my God. Be not far from me, for trouble is near, and there is none to help. Many bulls encampass me. Strong bulls of Bashan surround me. They open wide their mouths at me, like wavering and warring lions. This is true for David, but it happened to Jesus. He was encircled by his enemies, and they were mocking him, and they beat him. It says, I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax. It is melted within my breast. My strength is dried up like the potsherd, and my tongue sticks to the jars. You lay me in the dust of death, for dogs encompass me. A company of evildoers encircle me. This reminds me of Jesus when he's hanging on the cross. This idea of dogs encompass me. A dog to the Jews is a unclean animal, and so it's a kind of animal that a Roman would have as a pet, or a Gentile would have as a pet, but not a Jew. Well, it was the Romans that crucified Jesus. It was the Romans that encircled the cross of Jesus and made sure that he was crucified. It wasn't the Jews, it was the Romans. Now they were working together. But it says, for dogs encompass me, and a company of evildoers encircle me. This reminds me of the cross. They have pierced my hands and feet. That straight up Jesus. They pierced his hands and his feet. This is talking about Jesus on the cross. It calls the Romans in the future is calling the Romans dogs. Dogs encompass me. Yeah, David is prophesying about the crucifixion. I can count all my bones. They still and gloat over me. This idea of I can count all my bones. There's another prophecy that says that not one bone is broken, and this could very well mean the same thing. I can count all my bones, verse 17, as in that all the bones are fully intact and not broke. They divided my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lot. This was a prophecy about Jesus when he was hanging on the cross. They cast lots for the clothes for Jesus' garments. So that's a prophecy of the crucifixion. But you, O Lord, do not be far off. O you, help me. Come quickly to my aid. Deliver my soul from the sword, my precious life from the power of the dogs. And again, this idea of the dog is referring to the Gentiles, or maybe to David is referring to the Philistines. But a dog would be an unclean animal. Save me from the mouth of the lion. You have rescued me from the horns of the wild oxen. Remember what I said last time, a couple days ago. When you see the word horn, it could mean some kind of leader. Well, right here it says, you have rescued me from the horns of the wild oxen. And this could very well mean multiple leaders. And the wild oxen, in the case of David, is the Philistines and all their leaders. In the case of Jesus hanging on the cross, the wild oxen would be Rome. I mean, Rome, talking about wild. Rome, the Roman kingdom, it was wild. But their horns, leaders. Remember that, right? If you're going to write something down, write down horns and leaders. You're going to need to know that if you ever want to learn prophecy. I will tell of your name to my brothers. In the midst of the congregation, I will praise you. You who fear the Lord, praise him. All you offspring of Jacob, glorify him, and stand in awe of him. All you offspring of Israel. The offspring of Jacob, the offspring of Israel, that's the church and the Jewish people. For he has not despised or harbored the affliction of the afflicted, and he has not hidden his face from him, but he has heard when he cried to him. From you comes my praise in the great congregation, my vows I will perform before those who fear him. The affliction shall eat and be satisfied. Those who seek him shall praise the Lord. May your hearts live forever. All the ends of the earth shall remember and turn to the Lord, and all the families of the nations shall worship before you. For kingship belongs to the Lord, and he rules over the nations. All of the prosperous of the earth eat and worship. Before him shall bow down all who go down to the dust, even the ones who could not keep himself alive. Even the one who could not keep himself alive. I wonder if that's talking about Jesus, and I make that, I really do. I want to emphasize wonder. So it says, even the one who cannot keep himself alive. I wonder if that's talking about Jesus, if that could be a Jesus prophecy. Because we know he could have kept himself alive, but he didn't. He went to the cross willfully, dying for the sins of the world. It shall be told of the Lord to the coming generation. They shall come and proclaim his righteousness to the people yet unborn, that he has done it. And they shall come. Think about that. They shall come and proclaim his righteousness to the people yet unborn, that he has done it. This is talking about the crucifixion of Christ in Psalms 22, and talking about how the future generations will proclaim what God has done at that crucifixion moment. And we, in the last 2,000 years, we have been doing exactly that. We have been proclaiming the cross. Now, let's go back to Matthew. Let's read the crucifixion. And we're not going to read the whole thing because we can go on and on for a long time. But Matthew 27:32, it says, as they went out, they found a man in Cyrene, Simon by name. They compelled this man to carry his cross. And when they came to a place called Golgotha, which means place of the skull, fast forward, David and Goliath. I can't definitely say this using the Bible. I think it's true, but I think that based on what scholars believe that David buried Goliath's head is right here on the mountain where Christ was crucified. So interesting. Christ gets crucified and over the skull of Goliath. And Goliath in history is one of the greatest enemies of God's people. He is like the symbol of the enemy of God in the Old Testament when David arrives. 34, it says, they offer him wine to drink mixed with gall, but when he tasted it, he would not drink it. I find that interesting. And when they had crucified him, they divided up his garments among them, casting lots, just like it says in right here. They divided up right here. They divided my garments among them for clothing. They cast lots. Psalms 22:18. Prophecy fulfilled in Matthew 27:35. Matthew 27:35. And over his head they perched a charge against him, which read, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." Then the two robbers were crucified with him, one on his right and one on his left. And those who passed by derided him, wagging their heads, saying, oh, I think I heard of somebody wagging their head over here. Psalms 22:7. All who see me mock me. They make their mouths at me. They wag their heads. He trusts in the Lord. Let him deliver him. Let him deliver him. Let him rescue him, for he delights in him. What happens in Matthew 27:39? And those who passed by derided him, wagging their heads, saying, you who will destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the Son of God, come down from the cross, just like in the psalm. So also the chief priests with the scribes and elders mocked him, saying, he saves others, he cannot save himself. He is the King of Israel. Let him come down from the cross, and we will believe in him. He trusts in God. Let God deliver him now, if he desires him, for he says, I am the Son of God. And the two robbers who were crucified with him also revealed him in the same way. If you read Psalms 22, it talks about how many bulls, verse 12, many bulls encompass me. Strong bulls of Bashan surround me. They open wide their mouth at me, like raving and roaring lions. Verse 16, for dogs encompass me, company of evildoers encircle me. They pierce my hands and my feet. It's talking about Jesus. Psalms 22 is a prophecy about Jesus being crucified. David was just writing another song. He was doing what David does. He writes songs. And David was most likely writing a song about himself, about his own suffering, about his own pain that he was dealing with at that moment. And God was using his pain, his suffering to do what? To reveal more about him, his will, his plan to David and to us. God had a plan to use David to write these prophetic messages in song. And in one of them, he foretells the crucifixion of Christ.